Okay, we're learning the Rebbe's Maamar of Ledodi in Chelik Dalid. We're on page Shin Samach Dalid, Eis Dalid. Okay, so far we learned, the Rebbe asked a whole bunch of questions. L'cheira, Elul is the Rosh Hashanah is Ledodi v'Ledodi Li. Ledodi is Elul, v'Ledodi Li is the revelation of Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. So the Rebbe asks, L'cheira, Ledodi Li is Tishrei, then it's not Elul. Yet Ledodi v'Ledodi Li is all part of Elul. And then he says, Yud Gimel Midas Rachmim, even to the people that are very far. And but he explains, Elul is not the Seder is the awakening. Elul is the giving the ability for a person to. It's not the awakening. That's later on in Elul. Okay, so he says even the people, the Melech Basoda and Dafka in the field, you have, even though there's a mile of the king in the palace, that you see the ultimate glory of the king, but nevertheless, where does the king reveal himself? Dafka in the field. Okay, so he says, and therefore, last point, the Rebbe says, that's why it says whoever wants to go out to meet, in the Moshe of the Alter Rebbe, the king is in the field, and whoever wants to go meet him. That means there has to be the avoid of the Jew. You have to want to go meet the king. The king, by being in the field, is just giving you the ability to go see the king. He's not stimulating you to see the king. He's just coming in the field. You have to have this wanting to do it. So in Dalit, on page Shin Samach Dalit. The Tzarech Love, we need to understand in order to explain that the Gilu Yavalon the Nesin is Kerchai De Agilu is L'chol Echad Ve'echad is to every single Jew. The Ge'erak is only relevant the fact Shamelech Basoda that when the king is in the field, Rishoyim V'yechelim Kol Mishareitz Alach Poponev. What's the word of the Moshe? The king comes out in the field. He's giving the ability for every person to meet the king. That's the whole word of the mashal. But the Alter Rebbe in the mashal adds that the king shows a smiley face to everybody. He greets everybody with good countenance. What is that relevant in the mashal for the purpose of understanding the nimshal, so to speak, that Hashem is close to every single Jew? Why is it relevant? The main thing is the king is in the field. Whoever wants to meet him. Why does he add that the king accepts everybody with a smiling face, with good countenance, and the king is accepting everybody with smiles and so on. This, that the king accepts everybody with a smile. Look like this. There's the Aveda of the Jew coming out into the field. Right? Then, that's the Aveda of the Jew. Elul is the Aveda of the Jew. Then when the king shines his face, smiles at the person, that's not the Jew's Aveda, that's Hashem's Aveda. The Gilui Momaila, it's a revelation coming from above. So why is that relevant to the Moshe of Elul? The whole inyan of Elul is Ledodi. So why is it relevant in the Moshe that the king is smiling at everybody? That's the Gilui Momaila that comes after the Avoid of Elul. But the whole Moshe is about the Avoid of Elul. And he says, this Gilui that comes after the Jews' Avodah is L'cher Aser Simei Tshuva, which is Ledodi Li, but by Mashal the Melech Basoda, but the Mashal on the other end of the king in the field is Biur al Gilui the Elul, which is seen as Kerch Lefnei Avodah. L'cher is asking the Alter Rebbe, and the Mashal is mixing two things together. The whole Mashal Melech Basoda means the king is not doing anything. The king's coming out in the field. Therefore, that gives the ability for every person to meet the king. That's what Elul is all about. The Avodah of the Jew, Ledodi.
Rabbi, can I say something?
One second. No, you can't. So then, but then you have the revelation Momaila, which is Ledodi, which Bepashtis is Tishrei. Even though the Rebbe asked that should also be part of Elul. But the bottom line is this, that the king is smiling at everybody. That's not the avodah of the Elul. That's not the avodah of the king coming out into the field. So why is it part of the mashal of Elul?
Can I say something now?
No. What do you want to say? You said 3 things already. Can
something.
I say?
I just want to say something.
Say something. Okay, good.
I said.
We need to understand. Shnei and Yonim also, the Alter Rebbe in the mashal says 2 things. He doesn't say the king smiled. He says, Mekablam b'sefer panim yafes. He receives them with a smiley face. V'shemad and he shows them a good countenance. The moshel, again, the Rebbe rips apart this moshel from every aspect of it. The Alter Rebbe in the moshel says, the king is in the field, the person comes out into the field to meet the king, and then the Alter Rebbe says 2 things in the moshel. He receives them and shows them. Why does he need both details? You want to say the king is smiling, so the king smiles at you. He says no, he receives them with the smiley face and he shows them good countenance. Why?
That's a million things. Receive them, bless them. Why does he say only those 2 things?
Not only the 1 second. And also he says, by Mekablam he says, Sefer Panim Yafes. And by Madolehem he says, Panim Sechakes. In other words, why is Alter Rebbe saying these 2 aspects in the Mashal? Because they don't make sense in the Mashal at all. Because we're talking about the Avodah of Elul going out into the field. We're not talking about the Gilui Momaila that comes afterwards, after the Avodah of the Jew. And if he's saying it, why does he say 2 things? If one would be enough, and also different things. This is Mekabel and this is Mara. Why is Alter Rebbe saying all this part of the Mashal? Okay. Mechal, we need to understand this whole thing. Okay, so he says now like this. Mechal, we need to understand what is this Elul? Is it the avodah of the Jew or is it the king shining? Which one is it? So he said, to explain this whole thing is like this. Behegdim, Hachidish, the Yudgim Begilu, the Yudgim Umidus Rachim Be'elu, the Gabi Agilu, B'Rosh Hashanah V'Yom HaKippurim, B'Shnei Inyonim. We know in the month of Elul is the revelation of Yudgim Umidus Rachim, and Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur is the revelation of the original revelation of Yud Gimel Midas Rachmim. When did Hashem say origin Parshas Kisisa after the Egel? Hashem Kol Rachum V'Chanu, we read on the faster, right? In Parshas Kisisa. That was on Yom Kippur, when Hashem forgave the Jewish people. So you have the Gilui of Yud Gimel Midas Rachmim is revealed in Elul. And then you have Yud Gimel Midas Rachmim, which is Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. What is the difference between the 2 revelations of Yud Gimel Midas Rachmim? He says like this. In order to receive this Gilui of Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur is Aidei Avodah Nailis. It's only through the Avodah Nailis, an elevated level, Mufchan Shabam Yechidus Gula. The Mashal of Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur is when the king goes back to the palace. In the whole Mashal, the Alter Rebbe says, in the month of Elul, the king is in the field. Then the king goes back to the palace. Right? When is that Nimshol? Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. Now, Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, you just can't walk into the king's palace. It has to be a holy guy, so to speak, chosen person, a special person that can walk into the king's palace. So L'cheira, in order to receive Yud Gimel Midas Rachmim of Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, it's not applicable to everybody. You have to be a special level to be able to reach that level. But B'rdei L'kabel HaGilui da Elul, but to get the Gilui of Yud Gimel Midas Rachmim of Elul, all you have to do is meet the king. Anybody. The king's accessible. All you have to do is go out to meet the king. The Nimshul, what is that in the Nimshul? His aided is a Kabbalah's El Malchus Shemaim, just waking up to have the yoke of Hashem. So he says, the Rebbe is explaining that we need first to understand as follows. There's Yud Gimel Midas Racham of Elul, there's Yud Gimel Midas Racham of Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. What's the difference between the two? In Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, you must be a lofty level, a unique person, right, special avodah, to be able to receive the revelation of Yud Gimel Midas Racham of Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. In Elul, all you have to do is go out to meet the king. Now, going out to meet the king means I'm accepting him as king. If you don't accept him as king, why are you bothering to go see him? There's nothing to go for. So that's one difference.
Then it's a whole purpose of Elul is to elevate you to get to that level, so you could
Yeah, but nevertheless, Elul also has Yud Gimel Midas Rachmim
have his own.
of its own. And that Yud Gimel Midas Rachmim is accessible to everybody. The Yud Gimel Midas Rachmim of Shani Yom Kippur is a much loftier level. V'oid chidish b'agilu de Elul. And another advantage of Elul is Gam le'ela nimtzoim b'midbar, is also to those people in midbar of L'um Hazeh. Not only is it Melech Basoda, but the Rebbe explains in many Maamarim, and that he quotes at the bottom of Maamar of the Rebbe that also says the word midbar, that the Yud Gimel Midas Rachma, when the Melech is in the Soda, it's not only the Melech in the Soda, the Melech is coming in the midbar. The difference, like we learned, there's city, field, desert. City is inhabited by humans. Asher Yosef Adam Sham, which means Adam Eli in a place where there's godliness. Gadol Hashem Umulu Ma'id Be'ir Lekenu. Ir represents an inhabited, civilized place where godliness is revealed. The opposite extreme is Midbar. Nothing grows, nobody lives, it's desolate, dangerous, snakes, scorpions, like it says in Chumash. That is a place which is completely void from godliness. And then you have Soda, granted people don't live there, but he's going to quote the passage, a king is bound to the field, but the field sustains the person. All the food comes from lechem, levav and nishtisad. Bread comes from the field. So yeah, it's not the ear, but it's not midbar. But here the Alter Rebbe is saying, and the Rebbe is saying, this that the Alter Rebbe says the Mashal Melech Basada. That means it's Yud Gimel Midas Rachmim. Not only is it in the level of Soda, even in the level of midbar. As long as you go out from the midbar to meet the king, you have the Yud Gimel Midas Rachmim. Ukamov Gam Bezeh. What's the primary purpose of the revelation of Yud Gimel Midas Rachmim? Seen as Koyach al Tshuva, to give the ability to do Tshuva. What did I explain before? Elul is the ability to do Tshuva. Right? The king is in the field. Hashem is close to everybody. You have a massive opportunity to do Tshuva. Now, Tshuva simply means for sins. So which level has to do Tshuva primarily? The level of Midbar. So if the whole mashal of Melech Basada is to stimulate the person to do Tshuva, so for sure the king is in the Midbar, because the Midbar is the primary place where you need to do Tshuva.
Why not anywhere else?
Huh?
Why not anywhere else?
Because in those places you don't sin that much.
There's nothing to with sin.
Sada represents Esav. Esav is Sada.
But Sada is like, there's nobody there. There's no
Okay, it's like, I won't tell you if you remind me tomorrow, because you'll forget and I'll forget. When the Torah, in these parshas, speak about, God forbid, a man finds a woman in the field and rapes her, it's Besada. Besada Mat Mitzvah. Okay? And she cried and nobody helped her. Correct? So Chassidus explains that refers to the Nefesh Abamis, God forbid, raping the Jew. In the where's that though? In the sada, not in the ear. In the ear, there's kedusha. It doesn't happen in the ear. Where's the Yetzer Hara primarily capture the woman, the Jew, and God forbid defile her, right? And purify her. That's in the sada. And Sarka Naira, the girl is screaming out for help and nobody's answering her. So even sada represents the level of evil. Not as much as Midbar, but still it represents. Class today was sponsored by Aviad. Shkoyach.
Happy birthday.
It's not his birthday. Oh, I know what it is. By the way, because Nissen and El